So, Penny Billionaires, right, guys? Welcome on Loud TV, guys.
It's good to be
Hello.
here.
Hi, Joe.
So,
How are you?
yeah, I'm fine. Between three interviews today, so
Okay.
quite busy and yeah, helping the metal scene or
Okay.
the rock scene because today this is not. We couldn't say that you are a metal band. So you have released two songs for the moment, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So
And
far.
yeah, so far, and I feel it's very. I'm very enthusiastic because it's really between industrial and rock, and it's very groovy and very yeah. You want to headbang, you know?
Absolutely. It gets your blood pumping.
Yeah. So Greg is French, right?
Oui, je suis français. Au demeurant, enfin, je suis maintenant américain, mais j'ai les deux passeports.
So Greg, you have worked with several bands in France, right?
I did, yeah. I did, yeah.
Like Superbus. Maybe
I
it's
did, yeah. Like No One Is Innocent, Superbus, and then I played with a like also very different, like electronic music, like Mojo, then Kid Loco, then JJ Johansson. But as a member, I was really a member of Superbus for almost 10 years. Yes.
and Evan is in yeah, Phoenix, right?
Yeah. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States.
And so it seems that you have produced some musical local bands, right?
Yeah, I've produced a couple local guys. I've been doing a lot of stuff for myself as well, and then actually we started doing this project about 2 years. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's almost been 2 years now since the pandemic. Can you believe it's been that long? Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been we play out and do live shows as well out here in the local scene from time to time as well.
You know that Max Cavalera is living in Phoenix, right?
Yes, he lives in Phoenix. And what's very funny is the guy that does these videos and photos, Jim Luvo, is a friend of ours now, like because Evan met him as well a couple times. So we haven't met Max. I mean, last time I saw Max, I was a roadie at the Elysée Montmartre, and I
Yeah.
think he was playing there with Soulfly. So it was, I would say, probably 1999,
Okay.
a
So
long
long
time ago.
time.
So I'd love to see him again now that we're neighbors.
Yeah. So yeah, what are you doing in the USA, Greg? And how do you know this guy?
So, um, so here's the deal. Uh, I moved back to the US in 2014 when my time with Superbus ended. My wife is American, and we had lived in California. I had to come back in. We moved actually. We relocated to the US in 2010 with my wife and the kids. And because of the schedule becoming very complicated with Superbus, we moved back to France in 2012, and in 2014 we decided to move back, permanently to the US, right? And so Evan and I met like at a gig. It may sound cliche, but that's how it happened. I was playing with a local artist, and Evan was playing with his band like right before us, and like it the his his talent really struck me. I was like, dude, man, that kid, he's so good, right? I was like, man. So after his gig and my gig, we started chit chatting, and we hit it off really well. We exchanged numbers, and we're like, oh yeah, maybe one day, who knows? And then, sure enough, maybe a couple years later, Evan, stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was actually just I think about a year
Okay,
after
so
that.
so a year later, he put out a note on the Facebook universe, and he said, "Well, I'm looking for a drummer because I want to do this." Originally, he wanted to do something, and he will talk about it uh, because that's more his personal story. But he was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a drummer because I want to do some type of 21 Pilot duo. But originally it was more pop.
Yeah.
And so he put that note on Facebook, and cocky as I am, I wrote him back. I sent him personal message. I said, dude, if you look for a drummer, there's only one good drummer here in town. Like all the other guys are clowns. It's me. And so, but I was really cocky, but I'm joking. This is who I am. I'm always like that. So he wrote me back, and we exchanged, and we said, yeah, sure. And then it never happened. And then 3 months later, he reached back out to me and he's like, hey, do you still want to meet? And we met, and we never left each other, ever.
No, we hit it off so well the first time. It was crazy. It was like love at first sight, I think.
And then, since you asked the genesis of Penny Billionaires, so we started to work on Evan's pop stuff. Because to me, no question that Evan was a rock guy. No question. First of all, he shreds the guitar. He's a shredder. So you give him a guitar, he fucking shred that shit like there's no tomorrow. Like that guitar like burns once he's done playing with it. You know, there's flames coming out. He's that good. And he sings. He has, that voice, the voice. Like, and I was like, man, and he really has talent to write pop songs as well. But I was like, dude, you're a fucking rock singer. To me, it didn't feel right, even though the songs were very good. And so we kept working on this shit. And down the road, Evan started, actually, I was playing in a different band at the time called The Dukes in France. And Evan was like, hey, I wrote a couple songs. I think you guys could be interested by the songs, right? And I was like, okay, play them. And the songs were really good. It wasn't for the Dukes, but they were really good. So I was like, dude, you should really dig into that because you have the talent for rock music.
Yeah.
And so we left it there.
Breakdown, actually, that's funny enough. That's one of the. I think it was the first song I showed you that it was Breakdown.
That was Run. That was Run. The first song was Run.
The second one was Breakdown. The second one was Breakdown. But by the time it was Breakdown was for us. So we decided shortly after my band, the Dukes, we unfortunately we lost our producer. So motorcycle accident. So it made things very complicated. We decided to stop the band, and we went on with our lives. And Evan and I kept working together, on our project here in Phoenix, on the pop stuff. He kept, we kept this song in the drawer, and then I was supposed to go back on tour with Superbus for the 20 years anniversary of the band, which was in 2020. And I went to France for 3.5 weeks to rehearse. We played one show, and the pandemic hit, so we canceled the whole tour. And Evan and I, we got stuck in Phoenix at the same time. All the shows that he was supposed to play in Phoenix got canceled as well. And we're like, why don't we fucking do it? Like, why don't we do what we want to do? And so Evan had a couple songs. We wrote a bunch of additional songs to it. And we're like, man, this is pretty good. So we reached out to a good friend of ours who happens to be, his name is Jeremy Parker. And Jeremy Parker, the funny thing is like, he produced and engineered records like Slipknot records and Disturbed records and Godsmack records and all those big records. You guys had Evanescence on, I believe, like half a year ago or so. He did Evanescence's Breakthrough album actually back in
Bring Me to Life. Is it Bring Me to Life? The name
he did that
big song. He won a
Grammy
for it. He won a Grammy for it. And so we sent him the material, and we're like, hey, what do you think? Do you want to do it? And he wrote us back like, I love it. When are we starting? And no worry. He wasn't worried about the money. He wasn't worried about anything. He just wanted to get us in the studio. It often works like that. I don't know so much for France, but in the US, a lot of producers, when they want to work on a project, they call it like development project, and they do back end deal where they're like, okay, I'll give you my time, I'll give you my studio. And we work together, and we're going to go get a deal. And once we get the deal, that's when I'll make my money back, which is super awesome when you have those type of, guys who are willing to work with you. And so we got in the studio, and we finished producing a bunch of songs with Jeremy. So that's really how it happened. That's the whole story.
So he produced the two singles, right?
He co-produced, well, actually more than that, because you guys have only two, but we have way more songs. I mean, now we're releasing them like every 6 weeks, except for the Christmas break, because obviously, we're not gonna release a song. I mean, maybe a Christmas Carol. We're still
maybe
thinking
something
about
like that.
doing a little joke, but
Yeah.
the next single, which is called "What Would You Do," will be released on January 6th.
Sorry, the connection wasn't
So
good.
it's called "What Would You Do."
Oh yeah, go ahead, Evan.
Yeah.
You can talk about that now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, honestly, "What Would You Do" is going to be pretty crazy when it comes out because it's very. I think it's our most electronic one that we've done. It's a very, very big hybrid. I think a big influence of that song definitely had elements of like Nine Inch Nails, and I think even like Skrillex. So I think that'll be something to kind of keep in mind when you're waiting for the next song. It's really cool. I think it's better than the other two, in my opinion. But I mean,
I think I would just add a little something. Now we're gonna start releasing like what we consider our big songs, because right now it was just the l'hors d'oeuvre, as we say in French.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, we're testing, right? We had no idea. Like, Joe, to give you an idea, Awoken, so we don't buy bots, we don't buy followers, we don't buy streams, we don't do any of that. But Awoken will be at the end of the week at 80,000 streams, which is for a band like us, who has been releasing music since maybe 6 weeks, because really, even if Awoken was released in the US mid-September, it really started to get some traction the second week of October. That's really playlists started to add the song, and people started notifying that, hey, there's this band out there. And then we got added to, I don't know, 300-400 playlists, some playlists ranging from, going up to 850,000 followers. And obviously now we're getting about, between Breakdown and Awoken, we're getting between 800 and 1,500 streams a day, which is very decent for a band like ours. We're coming out of nowhere and we're doing it on our own.
Yeah, it seems that the singles, when we were young, we used to listen to complete albums, and now we are in a different area, different century also. And now we're listening to singles, but I was thinking about that this morning, and when I was listening to fucking disco in the 80s in France, with and it was only singles, where when you think a lot of the disco, or in the 90s on Fun Radio, it was only single.
Yep.
So it's kind of maybe the same story, but it's not. It's quite unusual in the rock or metal scene,
Yeah, and it's due. Keep in mind that what we're and why we're doing that, it's purely strategic as well. Because when we started, there's no fan base, there's no one, no listeners, and you come up with an album with, you're gonna release it, but it's gonna die right away because you can't support it here. What we've decided to do, and this is with our we're very lucky because our mentor, friend, and guru and / manager is a guy that goes by the name of Bob Shepardi. And Bob, he overseen the career of Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Linkin Park, Pearl Jam, everybody.
Who? Sorry?
Yeah, same thing. And so Bob was like, you guys start from nowhere. If you come up with an album, I mean, what are the chances, If you build like a song every 6 weeks, and at the same time you develop the social, it's going to be a lot better. After 4 or 5 singles, you're going to have like a little base, you know what I mean? You're going to have some listeners, you're going to have some followers, then you can release your album, and you're gonna have some people actually streaming it, maybe buying it, but at least being interested. And I'm glad we did it this way. It's actually now the when you don't have a following, that's the way to build it actually. And look, Joe, we went from in the last really 6 weeks, we went from 0 to 35,000 listeners. And we're averaging right now, I don't have the number, I could look on my phone is right here, but I can look as we speak. We have about 20,000 monthly listeners, which once again, for a band like ours who had nothing 6 weeks ago, it's pretty cool, and it keeps climbing. It keeps climbing. So this is why we also decided to go with the single strategy against the EP or the album strategy.
Okay, so yeah, the idea is playing music, rock, industrial. So Evan, you were speaking about Nine Inch Nails, but yeah. So what are your common bands together?
I mean, could you say that again? I'm sorry. Could you answer the question again?
What are your common bands together with Greg? You were talking about Nine Inch Nails, and what's it's between
Yeah, I mean,
rock.
like especially influences with us. It's like I mean, even anywhere from Linkin Park to even like some hardcore electronic dance music, even the industrial sides like with Stein and Nine Inch Nails, and really it started because like Greg was saying earlier, I started making pop music, like electronic pop music in my recording studio at home, and that was my fascination for probably a good 4 years. That's what I wanted to do, and I never did anything with it. So I'm just sitting on all these songs. I have like probably like 30, 40 like really good songs that I never did anything with, and I decided to change things up when I was working with Greg. When we decided once the Dukes and after the Dukes and everything, and I started just having some fun. Like, what if I just like mixed this with hard rock and metal? Because I always grew up being a metalhead kid. I was listening to Soundgarden and Metallica and Alice in Chains and all the '80s hair metal like Megadeth and everything in between. And that's actually that was my influence growing up playing guitar. I started playing when I was 10. So like basically all throughout my school life, I was, listening to hard rock and metal until I decided to branch off into pop, did that. And then I wanted to come back, and like, what if I take what I learned here and then and then put it back with the influences of, what I grew up with. And I guess part of why I did pop, for instance, was I thought like metal to me and hard rock kind of was sounding a little, for lack of a better word, very the same. Nothing really stood out to me anymore after about, the metal after about 2010. And I wanted to change something with that. I wanted to give it something that was a little bit more refreshing and new, and maybe not even you could call it just metal, because it's not just metal. It's very heavy with sampled drums. It's got a lot of synthesizers and a lot of elements that you would put in an electronic dance song, but flavored and stylized with metal music.
But with real drums.
Yeah, but with real drums as well. You have to have real drums as well. It's funny because all the demos, I don't have a drum set here, so all the demos start out usually with me putting out some samples, and then I put like a real drum kit, like virtual instrument on it, and then I sent it to Greg. Greg comes over and he's like, "Okay, here's how we're gonna do the drum part," and then we pretty much go and we dissect the song together there, and then we bring it in the studio with Jeremy, and then he oversees the final cut basically and makes it sound like that much better. And that's pretty much how the process works right now with us.
And now the story is on. And will you play live in the US or in Europe or where?
Oh, we will definitely be playing live. I mean, it depends where. I don't know. What do you think? You think we're going to be playing here first or in Europe, Greg? What do you think?
Well, Well, to be honest with you, I really think the first shows for sure they're gonna be in the US because I know what's coming. So I can say yes, we're gonna play in the US for sure. But hopefully, we're very fortunate because Alex, at the label, listened to the song and was like, yeah, I really think I really want to work on it, and I think it's awesome. I'd love to release it, on my label. And so we decided to work with him. So obviously we're working with you, we're doing some promo with you, and one thing at a time. But I really think and hope that we will be able to come at least, France, Belgium, right after. Even though it's very funny if you look, because what as much as I'm not a big fan of the streaming platforms, let me tell you.
Right.
But in the other hand, it's very interesting because you can get a lot of data. And so we have the most listeners in America. But then per city, the biggest city it's in Brazil, then it's in London, then like I have actually, it's very interesting. I could actually tell you where it's at. It's very surprising. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this is the world tour. This is what the world tour looks like. And it's a lot of Europe, a lot of South America, indeed the States. But I think we have a bunch of listeners. We could actually play a show right now in London. We could actually play a show in Sao Paulo, play a show in New York, according to the amount of listeners we have in those cities, right? You're like, okay, I can put like probably 500 to 600 people in those venues. So France is somewhere, I think, in 13 or 14 position. So I think we'll be, down the road with the work, doing some promo with you guys, and thank you for inviting us. That's very nice. I know it's also unusual for you guys to invite artists when they only have like, our bands when they only have like a single or two. So thanks so much for taking a chance with us. Yeah, and I want to come and play in France. I mean that's for multiple reasons. First one is purely music, and then the second one, it's pretty cool when you're French to be able to do that, because a lot of the electronic artists that we have in France, Daft Punk, Justice, even Phoenix. I have a lot of respect for Phoenix because what they're doing in the US.
Carpenter Brut.
I'm sorry.
Carpenter Brut.
Yeah, Carpenter Blues, M83 as well. Not that many though made it in that Gojira as well. Like, they are fucking legit. But not that many bands, made it. French bands or French artists made it in that genre, right? It's really rare. Electronic, you can make it, but in the rock heavy, like industrial / electronica / hard rock, there aren't that many, French guys. So I'm really proud of it, of what Evan and I have been doing and the flavor we're bringing. Because it's funny, in the US, they keep telling us that it's really fresh. It's a sound they have not heard really before. And I take that as a compliment, and I think that's our flavor. That's his flavor and a bit of my flavor. When we blend it together, it brings Penny Billionaires, and it's cool because we don't have the pretension to say, oh, we're inventing anything new, but it's pretty cool when people are like, yes, you're bringing something new. This is a new sound, and that is like super exciting. So I hope we're gonna be able to come and play at least at home. Like that would be fun.
Greg, do you still play with Superbus?
Well, actually, no. Like the pandemic, not killed the band, but killed our relationship, because at the beginning I was supposed to be, going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And then the pandemic, and then I started Penny Billionaires. And then, sometimes you have choices to make in your life, right? And the schedule became very complicated, because originally when we started this 20-year anniversary tour, it was very compact. The booking was very compact. I would come for 2 weeks, go back, come for 3 weeks, go back. But then, because of the time we're in, everything has gone from, it's a show here, a show there, 2 shows here, 2 shows there, and I can't work this way. You know what I mean? Like, I can't come for a week in France to play, or 2 weeks in France to play 2 shows. So we politely decided to end it there, you know, and I wish them really well. And at the same time, I had started Penny Billionaires, and you know how it is, like, you know, the implication that it has when you start a new project. You really need to give all your time to that project, you know, devote all your time. And once the US is going to start kicking, we're going to have to tour intensively in the US. And when you work with US agent and stuff, when you tell them, oh, I have to go play my, you know, I have a few shows to play here in France for that band, they're like, wait a minute. Are you working on that? Or, you know what I mean? It's like they expect a lot from you. So we ended our collaboration.
Okay.
With Superbus.
Okay. So now we are waiting for your 3rd single, January, right?
Yeah, Evan.
Great.
Yeah,
If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna be dropping it on January 6th, I believe. That's gonna be the date we're dropping it on, and I mean, it literally is just gonna continue from there. Like we have 2 more planned after that, and like honestly, it was funny because like these are the songs that I wish we could have put out at the beginning, but it makes sense now that we're doing it this way, because I really think this is like some of the best that we've got. I mean, we're still writing more, so I mean, and each one is getting better than the next one, in my opinion. So, I mean, dude, I really can't wait to start putting it out, dude. Like, it's exciting, especially when we can show how it is live, because we're really, Greg and I, we play live a lot, and to actually show off not only like how good the music is, but how good we are live, because we're monsters, man. Like, we have such a good chemistry on stage. And Greg beats the shit out of those drums, like more than anybody I've ever seen. And it's impressive, you know, and most of these places that play out here with, you know, 4 or 5 piece bands, you know, when they're, you know, at the local level, you know, it's just us, me and him, you know, and we put on one hell of a show and people go nuts. So it's going to be crazy when we can do it with the Penny Billionaires project. Like, oh, dude, I'm stoked. I'm really stoked.
Great. Okay, thank you, guys. I think we could talk for hours, but sorry, I got other interviews. So, but it was a real pleasure. And yeah, the 2 first singles I think they're something fresh. And hope you're the best, guys.
Thanks, you.
Joe.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks,
Merci
Joe.
beaucoup.
Thank you so much. Merci. Ouais, merci, c'est super gentil. Merci à toi, merci à Loud TV. C'est vraiment cool de nous donner une fenêtre, une opportunité de venir vous parler. Je le dis en français parce que c'est un peu quand même ma langue. Entre nous, Evan comprend. C'est très, très cool. On apprécie grandement parce que c'est pas donné à tous les groupes de venir parler quand on a qu'1 ou 2 singles. Donc, c'est vous. You're taking a gamble on us. Vous pariez sur nous et tu paries sur nous et on apprécie ça. On s'en souviendra. On s'en souviendra.
I put a penny on you guys.
Well, will you become a billionaire with it?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking no.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, fuck yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm working towards it. Joe,
Thank
thanks.
you, guys.
Appreciate it. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Thank you.
Okay, see you. Bye.
À bientôt.
Bye.